I prefer a linear structured story that the previous Zelda games each had. I do have to admit, the Tears of the Kingdom story was still pretty good. Spoilers for its ending, but even after all the emotional exposition of the memories, the true ending cutscene still provided to be one of the most emotional conclusions in the Zelda series. That emotional conclusion is Mineru's departure. Mineru spends her final moments in the realm of Hyrule by seeing the present-day sages dedicate their lives to helping Zelda, the remaining royalty, achieve her goals. This is preceded by Mineru pleased with the future of Hyrule in her final moments there. While this cutscene was very touching, it reminded me of another Zelda game's ending. Though not similar in circumstances, there was another emotional departure from an important supporting character. This is the ending cutscene with Midna, as she leaves to the Twilight Realm and makes sure no one can follow her. Remembering this emotional moment, a natural debate came into my head. Whose departure was sadder and better? Mineru's or Midna's? There's a lot of factors for this argument, especially character development, so that's what we're going to discuss today. Whose departure really had more emotional weight in the end? Let's do this in order of appearance. First up, Midna. So what makes Midna's departure deeply emotional? Well, first of all, whether you like it or not, Midna is with Link the whole game through to the end. Midna is a main companion, something the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games don't have. Midna starts out as an annoying teammate, but over time, her story fleshes out to become a true team player, learning to be a loving leader like Zelda, and appreciating Link and everything he's helped her accomplish, including saving her life. Midna's journey is alongside Link's. It isn't really separate. Midna also learns to trust Link with a lot of personal information, opening up to him as we've seen. We see so much character development from Midna as she rises to help Link and Zelda defeat many evil foes. We, as the player, develop an attachment with her. We see her through so many forms: adversity, drama, and triumph. And then, in the end, Midna chooses to fight Ganondorf alone, sending Link and Zelda to safety. The developers then pull our legs, with Ganondorf crushing Midna's helmet, giving us the impression that she's dead. After the climactic ending, however, we find Midna alive and back in her true form. Midna still then shows a bit of her consistent personality with a joking flirt to Link despite all the craziness that has just occurred. Being a very developed character, she says her final goodbyes to Link and Zelda at the Mirror of Twilight, and then does a surprising final act by destroying the mirror, meaning that Link and Zelda would never be able to see her again. Of course, this was to prevent evils from Hyrule's Light Realm gaining access to the Twilight Realm. Midna made a big decision with a positive outcome, even if it meant not seeing Link or Zelda ever again. This ending was so emotional, the setup, the story, the surprise of destroying the mirror. Even seeing this cutscene again, it's very well written and hits hard.
again. We base. You get
Now, let's talk about Mineru. Spoilers if you have not finished Tears of the Kingdom. 3, 2, 1, okay, let's examine her and her departure. While Mineru is not with Link, the player, since the beginning of the game, her character development isn't as upfront and prominent. Nevertheless, through the beautifully written story that the memories have, along with great voice acting, we can still have a solid amount of understanding when it comes to Mineru's character and the bond she makes with Link and Zelda. Mineru is highly involved with the Zonai technology and knows the Zonai's history very well. She's more of a scholar than Rauru and has a secret stone that is able to separate her spirit from her body. While Mineru is just counseling Zelda when they first meet in the early memories, they do develop a stronger bond as they fight side by side against Ganondorf in the past, which we learn after her awakening as a sage. After the sealing in place of Ganondorf, Mineru's injuries and illness from gloom starts to weaken her health greatly, and her body is slowly withering away. Zelda then meets with her and tells her of her big decision, which Mineru pleads her not to do, but eventually agrees with Zelda and places faith in Link, like how her brother has. In the game's secret side quest for hidden lore, we learn a bit more of what Mineru did in the form of sacred texts and ancient messages. She was so very dedicated to working on the constructs and the advancement of Zonai technology, so much actually, that she even neglected eating. While that is terrible diet advice, her focus on the construct technology was important for the fate of Hyrule. It was written that Zelda rode on a construct actually, since Zelda herself is into ancient technology as well. So Zelda and Mineru must have bonded over, technological stuff. Going back to Mineru and Zelda post-battle with Ganondorf, Mineru committed herself to aid in the recording of the history that has happened so that Link can be informed in the future. Mineru would then lead the process of raising the Temple of Time and other landmarks into the sky, pretty much what Hylia did in Skyward Sword. I believe it is also written that the sages of that time period and maybe Zelda helped her as well, but still, raising the Sky Island skyward is not easy. Finally, Mineru seals her spirit in the Puripad, and once she's awakened by Link, her spirit enters a construct that is able to aid Link in puzzles, battles, and more. With all that being said, at the end of the game, after Link and Zelda defeat Ganondorf, Mineru's spirit feels called to move on from the world of Hyrule and join Rauru and the others. The champions and King of Breath of the Wild moved on at the end of that game too, so this is implying the same transition to the afterlife. As I mentioned, Mineru is pleased to see Hyrule's future in good hands, but an emotional Zelda is not happy to see her leave. She is very sad.
Rauru and Sonia will be happy to hear of this.
But Mineru...
And now let them know just how much you care. Thank you all.
Alright, after going over a detailed summary of each character, which one's departure meant more to the player? Which was more emotional, sadder, and does that make it better? arguments for both sides can clearly be made, but with my experience of the games, there is one thing I want to point out to start the explanation of my decision. In Tears of the Kingdom, even though I got the Master Sword, awakened the sages, and got the memories when I first beat the game, I found Zelda's emotional response with Mineru to feel incomplete. It wasn't until I started watching theories and discussions on YouTube, along with going back into the game myself to find secret lore. Once I did all of that, then I did fully understand Zelda's emotional response to Mineru leaving. Zelda and Mineru actually spent a lot of time together and had a deeper bond, which is not easy to understand based off of a simple understanding of the memories and the ending only. The player has to discover this on their own with secret lore side quests in the game, or just have the Zelda community explain it to them online via YouTube and Twitter and such. Personally, I did not like this, because one or two extra memories could have shown this friendship development and deep bond, which would have made the ending cutscene hit my emotions harder. I felt like the story of the memories had big gaps overall, and that weakened the game's story, which in turn weakened the characters' relationships. Midna's story, on the other hand, is not easily avoidable. Midna is with Link for pretty much the entire game, and her character development is made clear from the beginning to the end. Also, the fact that she seemed to be dead, we thought she was actually dead in a real-time cutscene, not a memory, which immediately led into the final battle, is a form of powerful and cinematic storytelling. The ending surprise of seeing her true form for completing the game is a reward and makes a happy ending, or so we thought. The post-credits cutscene shows a bitter end to Midna, and while she doesn't die, the happiness of the ending becomes bittersweet. She couldn't even convey her final words to Link because she herself was so sad. A natural argument could be that Zelda of Tears of the Kingdom clearly displayed her emotions of Mineru leaving, and she even shed a tear. Combine that with voice acting, and Zelda's sadness of Mineru moving on proves to be a worthy emotional departure, whereas Link and Zelda of Twilight Princess did not cry when Midna left. But I say, the absence of crying does not mean the absence of emotions. Link's face beamed with joy to see Midna alive. His happiness can add to the audience and could lead the audience to have tears of joy. From thinking Midna sacrificed herself and died, to having joy to see her alive and in her natural form is very powerful. And when she runs into the Twilight Realm and destroys the mirror, Link and Zelda are shocked to see this, sharing the emotion with the audience. From all of this, I believe Midna's departure to hit emotions of the audience way harder than Mineru's departure, as powerful storytelling is strong with real-time cutscenes, which is greater than secret lore side quest, revealing secret story details that have no cutscenes, even if the overall story we did receive had excellent voice acting. Alas, Tears of the Kingdom and Twilight Princess are different games, and that itself can be used in an argument. One game focuses on a linear story path which needs constant real-time story, whereas another game focuses on an open-air experience, which is up to the player to put in the time to piece the story all together, which leads to strength in discovering the world and its story, which does please a bigger audience, and that racks in bigger bucks. But this debate is about story exposition leading to the power of the emotion behind a character's departure. So overall, in my mind, it's clear that Midna's departure is the winner. But hey, if you can convince me otherwise, please let me know in the comments below. I'm actually very curious if I missed something or did not realize something about Mineru's departure or her character. And it's also possible DLC could further enhance this game's story and characters, so that's also a possibility. And if that's the case, I'll have to make a follow-up video to this one. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned for more videos. Skylink Shock, out.